A warm welcome to each of you. I'm delighted to support this sustainable initiative. Thanks to Alan and Mike for the fantastic work you do. Copenhagen has become a sustainable capital. I'll do my best to give you inspirations and learnings from our journey to a city which today is so clean that we can swim in the harbor, as this picture shows. Personally, I've been working for sustainability my whole life. Unfortunately, people didn't listen when I started my work more than 40 years ago. And now we have the global warming, the storms, the rising sea levels, and the climate refugees. Today, almost everybody wants to do something, but when you monitor the development, it's still possible to get quite pessimistic. But there's still hope, as David Attenborough claims in his excellent documentary from 2020 called Our Planet. See it if you haven't already done so. Copenhagen has worked hard with sustainability. I've been mayor for several years and responsible for the climate plan, which will make Copenhagen the first CO2 neutral capital in 2025. And today I work through my own company, Greenovation. When I started as a mayor in the 90s, the city was completely worn down. There was holes in the street. Copenhagen had the biggest debt per inhabitant in Denmark. The unemployment rate was high. Nothing was built. The only crane in the harbor was used for bungee jump, not for construction work. We changed that to a modern city with wind turbines, harbor swimming, super bike lanes, and a plan to become the world's first CO2 neutral capital. Here's a picture of my first big initiative, the offshore windmills from year 2000. And that time, this was the world's biggest offshore windmill park. Today, they are seen as tiny small. This development has given Copenhagen a lot of prizes for being the greenest city, the healthiest city, and so on. I believe this is one of the reasons you invited me today. Your vision is to be the most sustainable small city in Europe. This is very ambitious. I mean, you could also have the ambition to be between the top 50 most sustainable small cities in Europe, or to be the most sustainable small city in Scotland. But your ambition is huge. So you could ask, is this vision a good idea? My answer is both yes and no. Yes, if you really mean it, and if you have a realistic chance to take this position. No, if this is just another speech with hot air, a declaration without specific content, as you have seen in many cities and companies. So, if this is not another greenwashing project, if you go for it with all what it takes, if you can collect all relevant stakeholders and citizens behind the vision and get financial support, only then it is a really good idea. I'm here because I trust you have the potential, and my agenda today is to help you to focus your efforts. The next minutes, I will tell you about our work in Copenhagen, and I'll finish my speech with a number of recommendations. We have a lot of sustainable plans. We have implemented plans for circular economy, for climate adaptation. We have a sustainable geographical finger plan which situates public transport, housing, and companies in so-called fingers, so everybody can use public transport. We have waste plans and green mobility plans, but most important overall plan is the climate plan, which will make Copenhagen CO2 neutral in 25. So because of my time limit, I will concentrate on this plan. The values behind all our plans are very important. All what we do are based on these two values, sustainability and life quality for the citizens. We call it livability. Whatever plan you make, break it down to sub-goals, but most important, be very specific. Describe the activities in detail and be sure that you can measure and monitor what you are doing so you can adjust if you are not on the right path. To do this, you need the right experts. It's very expensive, but necessary. I built up a very big secretariat with all necessary qualifications. First, I got the biggest amount of money ever seen to a climate plan in the budget. Then I headhunted the best experts from ministries, universities, and companies. They structured the work in these 4 areas: energy consumption, energy production, mobility, and city administration. To illustrate how specific we got, I'll just describe 2 of the areas: energy production and mobility. For energy production, we made a plan to invest in 100 big wind turbines, biomass, and geothermal energy. And behind this, there are hundreds of reports, contracts, budgets, and all what is necessary to implement the plan. We didn't get permission to build all the windmills where we planned to build them, so it was necessary to find other geographical places for it. And this way, it has been an ongoing adjustment process to reach the decided initiatives. And for one of the other areas, green mobility, we also made a number of concrete goals to change from cars to bike and public transport. Here are some of the specific goals. We are now bike city #1 in the world, I think. Before it was Amsterdam, and in this strategy, we are reaching the goals by focusing on comfort, travel time, sense of security, and city life. A very important point here is that the fastest way to get from point A to point B anywhere in Copenhagen is by bike. There's a lot of initiatives behind this specific biking plan. One of them is super bike lanes, where you go on separate bike lanes with no stops, over bridges, and apart from the car traffic. This bike snake is a good example. All cyclists feel we spoil them when they can cross the harbor in the air and make a shortcut. No car driver will be able to. Every time we make a bridge like this, the numbers show that we move people from car to bikes. I have illustrated 2 of our main areas in the energy plan: energy production and mobility. But of course, the plan are very specific and possible to implement in all 4 areas. So there are also separate plans for energy consumption and city administration. Until now, we have reduced our CO2 emissions with more than 60%, even though we got 29% more inhabitants in the same time span and a rising income. Because many more people, also families with children, now prefer to live in Copenhagen. 1 month ago, we have adjusted the plan again, but as you can see, we still need to find a few hundred of thousands tons CO2. We have now 2 hard-working task forces to find solutions before 21. So we will reach the goal in 2025. I still believe in it, but it's hard work. A lesson here is that it's necessary to adjust such a plan several times to stay on the right path. The world changes, and without adjustment, it will not be possible to reach CO2 neutrality. Your ambitious goal is to be the most sustainable small city in Europe. I'll now try to give you my best advice. First, make a good narrative. We call it the Copenhagen story. In this story, we described a lot of examples to combine life quality, sustainability, and green growth. We also used a lot of energy to make it high status to be sustainable. Roughly said, Now you are a loser if you drive in your car in Copenhagen. And it's high status to go on bike. You don't pollute and you are healthy. You see businessmen and ministers bike on their way to meetings. You have already the title for your Perth story, but it's necessary to describe people's life in this vision. How can they contribute? How can they get a better life quality? How do different people in Perth identify themselves as sustainable, and what does it mean in their daily life? A second lesson is that strong political commitment and strong financial support is necessary. In Copenhagen, all parties voted for the climate plan, and therefore it was possible to get a huge financial support to the specific initiatives. From the start, we involved all relevant stakeholders, citizens, business companies, universities, architects, energy and supply companies, public institutions in all kinds of collaboration as roundtable meetings with the CEOs from all companies, co-creation workshops with the citizens and so on. A special useful tool was direct orders to all public utilities and institutions to make CO2 plans and timetables with success criteria. We even bought one of our big energy plants back from a private owner to be able to give such an order. Another point is that all our plans always has experiments included, so we can develop new solutions where the best new solutions can be broadened out and implemented in a larger scale. In Copenhagen, a whole new part of the city called Nordhavn, with 40,000 inhabitants and 40,000 workspaces, is built up as a living lab with many experiments. See the example on the slide. I know you will not be able to make experiments in this big scale, but all experiments, also small, will help the development. If you want to change habits, culture, and daily living, start with the children and the young people. I initiated special climate schools and nature centers, and I ordered all our utility companies to make sustainable educational centers where the schools can learn about sustainability. This is a very popular initiative. Of course, the citizens have to own the project, not only to feel they own it, but actually to own it. If it has to be a part of their identity for a citizen in Perth that she or he can contribute because she wants to do it. It takes a lot of discussions about how to design the green solutions, how to transport yourself, what to eat, and so on. We have also built windmill parks where citizens can buy a part of the park. It gives ownership, but also a lot of phone calls and questions if the windmill stands still. In Copenhagen, a big part of our transition did start with central plans. The climate plan was politically decided, and you can say it is a top-down plan. We did a lot to support a bottom-up approach as well by involving Copenhageners and all others. Sometimes it was very successful, other times it was less engaging. Now, the last 2 years, we have all seen big climate movements all over the world. My point here is that now we have a fantastic possibility to get the best out of the new climate movement if we support it in all ways, and especially if we are able to combine central plans with citizens' local activities. But maybe my most important lesson is to be specific. To change things in the real world, you must define exactly what you are heading for. Do you want to be the first CO2 neutral small city? The first zero waste city? Or is it a combination of several goals? After many years as mayor, this is maybe my most important lesson. If you want to change something, be specific. If you have described the scenarios, the financial cost, and the process, you will have a much better chance to succeed. And lastly, remember to evaluate and adjust, evaluate and adjust. To sum up, make a good narrative, the Perth story. Get political commitment and financial support. Co-create between all relevant stakeholders. Focus on experiments and broaden them out if they are successful. Co-create with citizens. Integrate central plans and activities for citizens. Make programs for children and schools. Define the most sustainable city and make very specific plans. And evaluate and adjust, evaluate and adjust. I wish you good luck on your road to be the most sustainable small city in Europe. I hope that you all will ask yourself, how can I or my organization contribute best possible to the work ahead? I'll be delighted for my part if I can help you in the future. Thank you.